We have traveled a long and difficult road to this moment when the will of the people of Georgia can at last be carried out. The Supreme Court, in its wisdom, has denied the appeal of Leo Frank. Justice has prevailed.
Morning, Leo.
What?
You sleep on that thing? I guess in your situation, you grab peace where you can get it.
How'd you get in here?
Through there. It's only half as tough as getting out. Although that's not something I want you to worry about anymore. Looks like you've been doing enough worrying to last a lifetime. You'll excuse the expression.
Who are you?
I'm your hope, Leo. The way things look, you're last and only one.
Brought you some coffee, Mr. Burns.
Oh, thank you.
Anything else you need, just give a holler.
Burns?
William J. Burns, the world's greatest detective. With the possible exception of Sherlock Holmes, who, his being fictitious, I suppose I shouldn't count, but out of respect and modesty, I do. You've heard of me, of course.
Of course. I appreciate your coming, but I can't afford...
All taken care of.
By whom?
You have friends all over this country. They believe there's been an injustice. They knew that I'm the one who could set it straight. By the way, you innocent?
Yes, I am.
Good. That tends to make things easier. Sometimes.
I've been trying to get people to listen. Did you read what Justice Holmes said in the Supreme Court? Mob law does not become due process of law by securing the assent of a terrorized jury.
Those are fine words indeed. But the majority of those boys out there didn't quite see it your way. Which means you've got a noose around your neck, friend. There's only one thing that's going to untie it. Proving you ain't the one that killed that little girl.
Well, how am I going to do that?
You're not. I am.
A lot has been written by you northern boys about the case of Leo Frank. You New York fellows can't seem to understand our feelings against Mr. Frank. And in Chicago, you're saying it's because he's a Jew. But let me tell you, there has never been any anti-Jewish feeling in Georgia until now.
What is it then?
We've lost one of our children. This is the final assembly floor of the factory. There are 110 girls that work here. They work 12 hours a day. This This is where Mary Phagan sat. I don't know this child's family or her religion or even her name. New York. I want you to look at this girl's face, or the face of any of the girls on this line, and see the life that was. Reflect on the life that could have been. This was Mary Phagan. And if you understand that, you'll understand how we feel about Leo Frank.
Stop here. This is good.
That's all right, Mr. Dorsey. I can drive you straight up.
It's a nice day. Think I'll walk.
Hey, that was Dorsey. Mr. Solicitor.
Mr. Solicitor General, you may present your plea.
Mr. Chairman, gentlemen, the appeal of Leo M. Frank has been denied by the United States Supreme Court as well as by this board. Therefore, it becomes my duty to request that a date of execution be set. It is the desire of the state of Georgia that Leo M. Frank be executed 12 days from now on the 22nd of June.
Just a minute, Solicitor. That's Governor Slayton's last week in office. She'd have to rule on any last-minute appeal. I don't know if this hurry-up schedule's fair to Mr. Frank or the governor.
Mr. Frank's legal maneuverings have consumed much valuable time, and they are exhausted. The crime was committed during Governor Slayton's term. I can only assume that the governor would welcome the chance to leave office, knowing that he had carried out the will of the people.
Governor, you're glad to be back?
Oh, yes, sir, I am glad. New York City is a wonderful place, but it's always a treat to finally get home to Georgia. I guess I'm just a cracker at heart, huh?
Those your bags, Governor?
My wife's. She's a cracker, too. Just happens to be a Ritz.
Governor, will you be going back to your law practice?
Someday.
We hear you stopped in Washington. Did you like it there?
Yes, indeed. A beautiful city. Mrs. Slayton likes it, too.
Does that mean you're running for the Senate, sir?
Oh, gentlemen, you'll have to ask my campaign manager here. No, boys, now, seriously, I am still the governor of Georgia. I will be till June 26th. I'll say this much. I do plan to stay in public life.
If you find out his plans, boys, let me know. I haven't a clue.
Governor, the prison commission has just set the date for Leo Frank's execution. It's 4 days before the end of your term. The car is right here, Governor.
Hugh Dorsey did this. He got the commission to put it off on you.
Ma'am? Governor, any reaction to this news?
Yes, certainly, as soon as I've had time to digest it. It's been a long day, boys. I'm sure you'll understand if we,
You realize this hanging is in 12 days. What do you plan to do, Governor?
Right now, at this moment, I want to get in my bath and wash the road off me.
You realize this puts the final decision in your lap?
Hugh really knows how to stick it to a fellow, doesn't he?
He learned from a couple of masters.
Not that he'd ride an eye. He wants me to shine his shoes. If I hang Frank, it's Dorsey's victory.
And if you don't?
They'll hang me.
I'd think the world's greatest detective would do a better job of shadowing somebody than that.
Only if he doesn't want to get caught. Here. You're going to be needing this.
What for?
For your story. William J. Burns to snatch Leo Frank from jaws of death. Newspaper photos never do me justice.
You're a little late, aren't you?
Oh, I don't know. Listen, nobody knows more about this than you do. I mean, you were here right from the start. Maybe even helped it happen a little, huh?
I'm not a judge. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a reporter. I wrote what I saw.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to offend you. I just need a friend, that's all. And if you're as smart or as sad as I think you are, and I don't care which, well, I thought you might need one, too. Damn it, Brent, that's my best sincere act. Don't tell me you're going to let that go unrewarded. Got any tips for me?
Hey, boss. A little bright, ain't it?
Just want to make sure you're still there.
As far as I know, I ain't going nowhere till I get this year's worth of accessory business worked off.
Get back to sleep.
Mr. Burns. I just wanted to look in his eyes. Mirror to the soul, you know. I have to say, I'm mighty impressed.
Why? What'd you see?
I mean, with you. Why, you handled that better than half the operators that worked for me.
Thank you.
I'd like to stay and keep an eye on him, but, oh, well. Even I can't be everywhere at once.
You know, if you want, maybe I can watch Conley for you. A little bit. If you want.
You mean like you be me for a while?
I wouldn't go that far.
No, actually, it's a very interesting idea.
How you find me anyhow?
That's what I do. You did testify about Jim Conley to trial, didn't you?
Just told him what I know. Don't appear nobody listened, did it?
I'm listening.
I don't got the gift like he does. He's a good talker. He puts it over on you folks.
How about the stories you told about Leo Frank? He put one over on us there, did he?
It's a funny thing, mister. Everything I know about him, I still ain't sure. Guess that's how good he really is.
Folks, we're here to welcome back our good governor and his lady from what we might call a little exploring in our nation's capital. Now, John, I'll bet you didn't get any roast possum or any persimmon beer up there in Washington, did you? Well, we all remember that it was John here that brought his old friend, Hugh Dorsey, into our fold. Now, with men like this banded together, and with our very able governor-elect Nat Harris, I see nothing but blue skies ahead for the Democratic Party and for us all. So I raise my glass here tonight to the political leadership of this state, and especially to John Slayton and his Sally. Although, I warn you, don't get too accustomed to that good-looking face of his. Because by November, we're going to be waving it off to the United States Senate. To John Slayton, hello. And goodbye.
John and Sally.
Thank you. John, I wonder if you'd let me do the honors here. Save an old man the effort of cutting in. Sally?
How you been, Hugh?
Fine. You know, I didn't ask him to say that about you and me.
Oh, I didn't think you did.
I'd like to see anybody tell him anything.
I wouldn't complain. He hasn't done too badly by you.
Nobody's complaining. Understand you've been quite busy lately working over the prison board.
Just doing my job. Looks like you might have to do yours.
The word from Washington is that you and John were mighty impressive up there. Good reports.
I'm glad you're pleased.
You're not fond of all of this, are you, Sally? It's the price of marrying a politician.
Mr. Watson.
Good evening, miss. We've met, I believe.
2 years ago, I came to your office to ask you to defend my husband. My name is Lucille Frank.
Excuse me.
My husband is going to die, Mr. Watson. You and the men you run could save him.
I understand why you're saying this. I'm sorry for your shame.
That one man could do this to another, that is my shame.
I suppose I should expect nothing more from the wife of such a man. I forgive you your blindness.
And you'll have to forgive the blindness of thousands of people.
Speaking for the people of New York, I protest.
Illinois, I protest.
Texas, I protest.
Sir, I'm from Virginia, and I protest.
Georgia, and I protest.
Mississippi, I protest.
Massachusetts, I protest.
North Dakota, I protest.
Indiana, I protest.
I thought nobody's supposed to be prettier than the bride at the wedding. Now, don't you let on I said that, me being her kin and all.
You're not from around here.
Just passing through. Funny, it feels like I've seen you before, though. Not all alive and breathing like this. More like a picture. That's it, a newspaper. You were a parade queen.
No. You have to have a rich daddy to pick that.
Oh. Motion picture actress?
No. I did have my picture in the paper once, though.
Really?
I was a star witness at a trial.
Oh. What kind of trial?
Murder.
Murder?
Mary Phagan, my very best friend in the whole world, got killed.
That's terrible. And you saw it happen?
No. I know who did it, though, straight on. I was right, too. They locked him up, and now they're gonna hang him.
Well, how did you know who did it?
I just did. I didn't see him where he said he was when he wasn't. I don't feel so good.
Oh, here. Just, oh.
Oh.
Any Anything else? Anything else?
He was just that kind, you know?
What kind?
Please, slow down. I think we better...
What kind?
The kind that would do it. I think I'm gonna...
Wait a minute, you mean a killer or something else?
Please, I'm dizzy. I have to...
Wait. Hi. Who are you?
I'm J.C. Temple. That's Alonzo.
Lonzo Man.
Yes.
Now, how did I know that? We've never met before, have we?
No.
It's funny, I seem to recall hearing that name. Maybe seeing it someplace.
Maybe from the murder trial. Oh, we were in the newspapers.
That's right, the Frank trial. You testified, didn't you?
I guess folks should be more careful what they put in the newspaper. No telling who might recognize you. Lonzo, why don't you go dance with J.C.? You want to talk to me, Mr. Burns? I'm Mary's father.
I think maybe I have outstayed my welcome.
You're right, mister. You have outstayed your welcome.
Let's take a walk.
No. Not here. Not at the wedding.
No! No!
Thank you, ma'am. Mind picking that up for me? Thank you, little girl. Ain't exactly no place to be starting a fire, is it?
Give him a little history. I don't know, the case took months to try, eh? Appeals process a year and a half longer. Include the number of witnesses. Oh, and the volume of testimony. Good Lord, there must have been...
10,000 pages.
Well, you make a note of that. God damn it, I only have 8 days left as governor. I can't possibly give that petition for clemency the time and thought that it deserves. So we are asking that the matter be placed on the agenda of Governor-elect Harris, and that ought to take care of that.
Fine. I'll write it up. It'll be here when you get back from seeing Boss Watson.
Have him bring my car around front, would you?
What does Watson want?
I don't know. He's been hunting me all day. Maybe he's got a new hound dog he wants to show off. Oh, over there with the rest of it.
More?
Yes.
What do you think, John? Is he guilty?
I don't know.
You didn't mention that in your statement.
I honestly do not know.
But what do you think?
To tell you the truth, Sally, it is none of my concern. Could I drop you off?
I'll be fine.
I'll see you later. Mr. Brent.
Can we expect a statement?
We should have something for you in the morning.
Are the rumors true? You're going to pass it on to Nat Harris?
You will have it in the morning. Evening, Tom.
Evening, John. Bring the governor a little of that bourbon he favors with some creek water.
Hound dog's looking good.
They got an easy life. Easier than mine. How about you, John? You want an easy life, or you want the future you've been promised?
Is my choice that simple?
You married the richest girl in the state. That ought to guarantee you an easy life. The future is up to you. What are you going to do about the Jew?
Tom, I am going to let old Nat Harris sort
that dog
out.
won't hunt. If it falls in your term, you decide it. Hugh Dorsey's done the work, and he's handed you the rope. All you got to do is hear Frank's petition and reject it. Hang him. Then we're going to get on with your campaign for the Senate.
Tom, I cannot come to that kind of a decision so fast.
John, folks are sick of this
Somebody
thing. How do you
has
think
to review it.
Folks are sick of this thing. How do you think people are going to be looking at you if you delay justice again? You think Hugh Dorsey would be sucking his thumb over something like this?
Hugh Dorsey doesn't do much thinking about anything except his next press conference.
I like him. He's got gumption.
He's got ambition. And that is a different breed of dog. He showboated his way through that trial, and now he's trying to get me in the middle of it. Shove my tit in a ringer.
At least he wouldn't be standing there fighting without telling him. He might remember to say thank you for a career that any man would be down on his knees for.
Tom,
But
you forget that I carried 140 counties. I left 3 candidates eating red dust.
Not by yourself, you didn't. Hey, maybe you're not interested in my help anymore. Is that it? That's what you're telling me, huh? John, damn you, John!
Better?
Damn it, John, why do you do this to me?
I'm just trying to do what I think is best, Tom, for all of us. What you've always counted on me for.
Have I? Maybe. But I am not about to let the people of this state elect a man senator who won't carry out their will. Who can't bring himself to act on the business of his office. The last thing we need is a coward. No, I'm telling you, you're not passing this on. You hold that hearing and you button this thing up in 20 minutes. Reject that damn petition. Shove it back in their faces and finish this off so we can get on with our business. Do we understand each other?
I've always been your man, haven't I, Tom?
As I have been yours. Let's keep it that way.
Oh, and after I dropped you off, I walked all night thinking about you. Waiting for the morning to begin, just so I could come by and see you again.
I didn't even let you kiss me.
Oh, but you wanted to.
Maybe. Leo, they say the governor is getting a lot of letters. People are still interested.
Not tonight. I don't feel like hoping again tonight. Tomorrow again and after, but I want tonight off. I just want to be here with you.
Get a picture here, sir?
What do you expect from Slayton here?
He's one hell of a governor. I expect him to do his duty.
Solicitor, just one more question here. One more.
Thank you for seeing us, Your Excellency. This document is a petition for clemency signed by all of us and quite a few folks who couldn't be here.
Governor, I believe I may be able to save you some trouble here. This document is legally irrelevant. Every point in it was rejected by the courts in this state as well as by the Georgia Prison Board.
I wasn't having any trouble. Mr. Ross, are you asking me to grant a pardon?
No. I'm afraid if he were pardoned and released, his life wouldn't be worth a minute. We are asking you to commute his sentence to life imprisonment. But this document does assert that we firmly believe Mr. Frank to be innocent of the murder of Mary Phagan.
You have any new evidence you could now introduce to that effect?
Excuse me there, Governor. I don't know if I'm allowed to speak, but anyway, my name is William J. Burns.
Oh, yes, Mr. Burns. You're not an easy man to miss.
Thank you. Well, sir, I can't put forth any concrete proof just yet, but I've been checking into this case, and some of its aspects disturb me. For instance, the principal witness, Jim Conley. He threw around quite a few accusations, and the jury heard them without knowing that he's got a police record as long as a snake.
Are you saying his testimony is perjured?
Well, near as I can recall, I didn't offer an opinion.
Well, thank you. But we're not interested. Consistent with your obligations to the people of the state, I demand that you reject this petition and allow justice to be done.
Hold on, Solicitor. This hearing will be adjourned when I say so.
I merely wanted to point out that this case was fairly resolved and tried in the state of Georgia, and that the verdict was in turn upheld by the highest court in the land. Trial by a jury is the soul of our law. We must preserve and defend.
I'm sure that you and I will stand shoulder to shoulder in defense of those fine principles.
With all due respect, sir, before you became governor, your background was in the law. Am I correct?
Am I seeing the famous Dorsey cross-examination at work?
I feel that it should be noted here that your practice was mainly as a lawyer for corporations, not a criminal lawyer. You haven't had much opportunity to see the jury system at work, but it does work. Those jurors that heard this case were better able to decide which witnesses were truthful than any official, however well-meaning, who hadn't actually seen the witnesses. That anything brought forward here is of little value compared to the evidence obtained by actually hearing the witnesses testify. I read recently where one of our judges out west said that if he could get a look at the accused man's feet, he could tell whether or not the fellow was lying. The verdict must stand as decided by those jurors. It is the will of the people. We must put this matter behind us and look to the future. I hope you know I'm not just speaking for myself here.
Go on.
That's all.
All right. You made the point that my background in criminal law is incomplete. Each time I got some experience. I'm just going to call your Mr. Conley in here. I think I should hear this chief witness myself. Oh. Since you've already warned me, I assure you I will take a very close look at his feet. I don't know, Ravenel. I guess he just got my goat. Now what the hell do I do?
Hey, I've been waiting for you, little girl.
I bet. That what you all slicked up for?
I'm going to see the governor tomorrow. He called for me. Got to get prettied up a little.
You know, white folks don't like a nigga that look too good. So what you doing it for?
I might get my picture in the paper.
Yeah, a picture of you getting lynched. Your feet's hanging where your butt ought to be.
I'm going to enjoy life with you.
In your dreams.
I dreams about what we'd be doing if these bars weren't here.
What's that?
It's a letter from a man in love. Go on, take it.
Sit down, Jim. You know why you're here, don't you?
Sort of like another trial.
No, not at all. We're just trying to clear up a few things. I notice from your record that this isn't your first time in jail. You've also served time on the chain gang. How many times?
4. 4, I think. It ain't easy recollecting hard times, boss.
Why did they send you to the chain gang, Jim?
Oh, mostly getting drunk, getting in little fights, you know.
What about stealing? Didn't you ever do any stealing? Huh?
Stole some chickens once when I couldn't get me no job. Stole a pocket watch. Got me a job and didn't want to be late for work.
Well, that was your job at the factory.
Before that.
Well, what about your job at the factory? It seems to have included an unusual detail.
Well, you meaning my watching out for Mr. Frank and his ladies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it did. Just done like I was told. Never figured it'd come to what it did, though. That poor little girl.
Do you remember the day of the murder?
Not all at once like I used to. Different pieces all the time.
What do you remember now, right now, today?
I guess I remember his face when he told me what he'd done. I remember the sound her umbrella made when I dropped it down the shaft.
You remember hiding the body?
I recall how scared Mr. Frank was. The look in his eyes.
I notice from your record that you have sworn under oath that you sometimes lie.
Yeah. I can tell some stories.
What do you do when you lie, Jim? You just look people in the face and you lie?
No. Usually, when I lie, I sort of duck my head.
Oh, what else do you do, Jim?
Sometimes I fool with my fingers.
Well, I tell you, Jim, I hope from time to time as we go on that you'll give me a little signal so I'll know whether you're lying or not.
Well, I wouldn't tell you no stories, sir.
Really? Why not? Why am I so special?
'Cause you the governor.
Oh.
I never get off the chain gang and let you catch me telling a story.
You're right, you wouldn't. All right, Jim, now you put your memory to test. The first time you spoke to the police, you said that you went to a picture show. The second time, you said you just had some beer and sandwiches. Which was it?
It was both. First, I got the beer and the sandwiches. Then I went to the picture show.
What was the picture show about?
It was one of them where they throw the pies. I don't remember it all, because I never went in.
You never went in?
I just ate my sandwich and watched what I could from the outside.
That doesn't explain why you changed your story 4 times.
Well, I couldn't remember at first. See,
those events only happened 1 week earlier. You seem like a man with an excellent memory to me.
Oh, yeah. But I get drunk, and then it slips. I was scared awful thirsty that week.
Did anybody help you with your remembering?
The police, some, and Mr. Dorsey.
Did Mr. Dorsey help you with the words, the thoughts?
What I mean is, he helped me get them right. The words. The thoughts were mine.
Oh, you made those things up yourself?
No. I mean, I just told how it was.
Governor, if you're going to make an accusation, I'd prefer you just do so, rather than try to confuse the witness.
Are you confused, Jim?
No, sir. Just not as quick as you are.
Oh, I'm not so sure about that. Hey, that's all, Jim. For today, thank you.
Come on, Jim.
I would like to ask the Solicitor General how many times he had to meet with this witness in order to help him remember it all right.
I may have met with the man twice, 3 times, but I resent the implication that I coached him.
I'm implying nothing. I'm saying it flat out.
Governor, you intend to allow this?
I'd think you'd welcome the opportunity to answer.
Even if such a ridiculous accusation were true, this was far from a one-witness case. What about the medical experts and the factory workers and the police and all those little girls? Mr. Rossi himself knew they were telling the truth. He didn't dare cross-examine a single one of those children.
It was a tactical decision and one that I regret to this day.
That's all right. Wouldn't matter if you had. Every one of my witnesses would stand right by what he said.
Why don't we see? Governor, several of those witnesses are here in this room. Why don't you question them?
This is an outrage. You expect him to retry your case for you?
Sir, just talk to one of them. One of the girls. Question Doreen Camp. You can't let this matter end here.
I'm not going to question anyone else today, Mr. Rossa.
Fine, that's it.
I said today. Beyond that, your request will be taken under consideration.
May I ask...
Sir, I would not press my luck if I were you. Excuse me.
We are going to be moving in here in 5 days and living here until you carry me off to Washington. So just hush and get to work.
Oh, way to talk to your governor.
There, that ought to humble you.
Huh? I wonder what they're thinking, these relatives of yours. Huh? Me about to take up residence here.
They're probably remembering the first time you came to supper.
I didn't do too bad. What's that?
You were terrible. At least you did your best to be.
Well, damn it, they made me mad. I already knew I wasn't good enough for you. I did not need them reminding me of it. Of course, I was a little hot-headed in those days.
Yes, you were.
Pretty girl. How did you ever end up married to me?
I don't know. You were sort of pretty yourself. Remember this?
I didn't know you saved them.
Of course I kept it. You wrote it to me when we were engaged.
Ideals are like the stars. We never reach them.
But like the mariners of the sea, we chart our course by them.
I stole it from a book. Montaigne or somebody. I was trying to impress you.
I knew.
You did?
But I liked it anyway. It was you. It still is.
Thank you.
John? Willie?
Evening, Miss Layton. Governor, didn't realize you were here.
Where'd that come from?
Mr. Watson. His boys dropped it off. Said it was just a little token from the boss. Hope it's all right.
Fine. What's so funny? After all, it's just a little token of his appreciation of me. I'm sure it's nothing more than that. Probably came from the bottom of his heart. How do I look?
Perfect.
And no laughing. I am the future of this state.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot.
I must be. Where else would I get little tokens like this? Can't you just see us, John? Riding on the wind. All the way to Washington, right up those Capitol steps. Oh, I handpicked you, boy.
John, stop it. You're scaring them.
You have the love of the people, and I gave that to you, didn't I, John? Oh, you are going to ride all the way with me. Yes, and we must let the people know that you are coming!
Stop it!
Come down from there.
Little Mary Phagan, she went to town one day. She went to the pencil factory to get her weekly pay. She left home at 11. She kissed her mother goodbye. Not one time did that poor little girl think she was gonna die. That Leo Frank, he met her with a heartless, evil grin. He said to little Mary, you'll never see you home again. She fell down on her knees. Leo Frank, she pled. When they finally found her, little Mary was dead.
I've decided to continue this hearing, as Mr. Ross has suggested. I've allowed certain witnesses to be called so that I can judge the merits of their testimony myself. Mr. Lund, you testified you, a certain Leo Frank, knew Mary Phagan personally. How'd you know that?
One time he came in while I was there and asked to have her time card corrected.
Well, that's it? He just asked to have a time card corrected? How would that imply that he knew her personally?
Well, he said Mary. I just figured he knew her or he wouldn't have used her first name.
I understand he discharged you just before Mary's death. What was that all about?
Well, he said I was $1 short on my accounts. I wasn't $1 short. So we got into an argument and he fired me.
Did you like him?
No, I never cared for the man.
Why not?
Because of the type of man he was.
You mean because he was an outsider or because he was your boss?
He wore them stiff collars all the time.
Like mine?
Well, yes.
Hello, Doreen. How are you? I suppose I should call you Miss Doreen now. You've grown into quite the young lady. I'd hardly know you.
How would you know me ever?
Well, you received quite a lot of attention back during the trial. Did you like getting your picture in the papers?
Well, of course, don't you?
Well, yes, I suppose I do. What did you like best about it?
I don't know. I guess, like you said, somebody was paying attention.
Well, it was a very important story. A man's life was at stake. Still is. You know that, don't you?
Yes.
Now, Doreen, back then you said that Mr. Frank bothered you and he offered you money. Is that right?
Well, one day I went into his office, and there was all these dollar bills lying out on his desk.
What did he say?
I don't really remember. It was an awful long time ago.
Well, let's see what you said at the trial. Oh, yes, here it is. Mr. Frank got up to me real close, and he looked at the money and asked me if I'd like to have some. He said a good girl would know what to do to get it.
Yes, that's right.
Those were his exact words.
Maybe. Yes, I guess if I said so. Everybody believed me.
How else would he bother you?
Watching me. Leaning over me while I was stamping the letters on the pencils.
Well, couldn't he have been just watching you to inspect your work?
He'd hardly ever do it with the homely girls.
But he could have been.
He could have been doing lots of things, but I know how he made me feel.
How?
Like you're not supposed to.
On the day of the murder, if you were so afraid of Mr. Frank, why did you go to the factory all by yourself?
To get my pay.
You knew it was a holiday. No one else would be there.
I needed the money. It was coming to me.
Governor, I object to this.
Solicitor, this is not a court of law. I'm merely trying to see if she will stand by her testimony.
I do. It was true. I can't remember his words or this time or that, but I know what he was like. I know how dirty and shamed he made me feel just by my doing nothing, just like you're trying to do to me here today. You can believe what you like. But, Governor, I do know one thing, because I was there. I did not see Mr. Frank in the office the way he said he was the day that Mary Phagan got killed.
Why did Frank call the night watchman at the factory that night? He never called at night before.
His lawyers claim it was because the night watchman was new.
He was newer the week before and he didn't call, and even newer the week before that.
May I tell you what I think?
I have a choice. Have it on.
Looks to me like you're getting into this thing pretty deep, Governor. Sir, I still believe with all my heart that you would be the finest United States Senator in the history of this state. And I'd like to be there working for you. What you're doing now is not a very politic thing to be doing. Sir, it may even be political suicide.
Something you don't understand, Ravenel. I just want to know what happens. I just want to know what happens.
There's some people coming.
Sowing seeds of kindness, sowing in the noontime and the dewy eve, waiting for the harvest and the time of reaping. We shall come rejoicing, bringing in the sheaves. Love, I with thee, fast for eventide. The darkness deepens, Lord, with me abide.
When other helpers fail and comforts flee, help of the helpless, oh, abide with me.
We're sorry we disturbed you, Governor.
You didn't disturb us. That was good hymn singing.
We want you to know that there are decent people in this state who are on the side of Mary Phagan. We're being made out to be cruel people when all we want is fairness. We feel there should be one law for all. And all we ask is that Leo Frank get the same as one of us would get.
That's what I want, too.
Well, it don't look that way to some. To some, it looks like you might be listening to the rich. To them, it owns the newspapers and the railroads. Them has got truck on Wall Street. Don't let it be. That's all we're telling you. Don't let it be.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosov v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbos.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, borei peri ha'gofen.
Lord, woman, look what you done. Gone and washed the shine clean off my shoe.
I'm sorry.
Get in there and clean it up. You, on the bed, hands behind the neck.
Even that little girl.
What you gonna do that for?
Got tired of looking at you through these bars. Wanted to finally see you all in one piece. I missed you yesterday. Where were you?
I had to see some people.
Who?
One's with the keys. They decided they're gonna let me breathe again.
When you going?
Any day.
I got some more of my dreams about us while you was off getting free. I wrote them all down. They're waiting for you right here under this mattress. 2 whole days worth. Go on. Go on, take them. He ain't looking. That's a good girl.
All right, that's enough.
I'm sorry, Mary. I'm sorry. Alonzo. No. Stop it. No. I have to tell her.
There's nothing to tell.
There is. I saw.
You didn't see anything. It was a nightmare.
You say Mr. Frank always treated you fairly. You still believe that?
I guess.
You know a man named Jim Conley? Alonzo.
I know who he is.
You worked Saturdays at the factory. Did you ever see him there?
Yes.
Where would he be? Would he be sitting under the stairs?
Sometimes.
Why, what would he be doing?
Like what?
Well, would he be sleeping? Would he be watching the door?
I don't know. I saw his eyes. I came in and he was there and he looked at me.
Well, and by what you're saying, he could have been watching the door, as he claims. Now, on the day of the murder, was he sitting and watching?
I guess.
Oh, son, don't guess. This is too important. Was he or wasn't he?
Yes.
Now, you know what Conley says happens at the factory on Saturdays, don't you?
Sorta.
Did you ever see any women there?
The girls sometimes. Mary. I seen Mary.
Oh, yes, of course. Are you talking about the day of the murder? Alonzo, are you saying that you saw Mary Phagan at the factory near the time of the murder? You didn't say anything like that in your testimony.
Nobody asked. I would have. I seen her there that day. I was there and I seen her go in.
And then? Then what happened?
I don't know.
Oh, go on, son.
I don't know. I went to the parade. I was going out and I seen her go in.
And what? What happened then?
She got killed. I heard them say the next day. I left and she got killed. While I was at the parade.
And I don't mind telling you, there was one thing that always bothered me. I was the medical examiner at the scene, and they told me there was blood on the lathe and blood on the floor by the lathe.
There wasn't any?
A speck or two. No more than that. Sure, not enough to prove it was Mary Phagan's. The claim was that they found strands of hair on the lathe. Her hair. But I can't be certain it was hers.
Weren't the blood and the hair offered as the main proof she was murdered near Frank's office?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Quinn, what was your job at the factory?
I run the metal department.
Are you aware of the claims that Mary's hair and blood were found on a lathe on the second floor?
Of course he's aware of it. He pointed it out to me himself.
Is it true, Mr. Quinn?
Well, yeah, them police told me I should. I never put much stock in it myself, but they said it was important and said it was my duty to testify, and even made out like I'd get some big reward if I did.
Then you don't think it was Mary's hair, Mary's blood?
Well, could have belonged to any of them girls. There's a little gas jet up there they heat the curlers on. They was always up there curling their hair when nobody was looking.
What about the blood?
Well, it's a lathe. People always cutting their fingers on a lathe. I've done it myself 100 times.
Why didn't you say this at the trial?
With all due respect, Your Excellency, this line of questioning is ridiculous. There was hair on the lathe. If it wasn't Mary Phagan's, it had to be somebody's.
Nobody said that it got there by itself.
Why then didn't Mr. Rosser here produce one of the girls? After all, there was 103 of them. To say that the hair just might have been hers? If such a girl exists, why in God's name didn't she come forward?
Would you admit to curling your hair on company time? If you were female, if you were poor and needed that job?
All she would have had to do was to admit curling her hair. That's no crime and no disgrace. Why didn't the girl come forward? There can be but one answer. The girl whose hair it was dead.
That's all for today. I want you to call Leo Frank. I think it's time I met this man myself.
Here it comes. Here comes Jack the Ripper.
Pervert! Let's settle this now! Not here! Not now! And not as long as I'm sheriff of Fulton County! Now get out of the way!
I want to come with you.
Frank, do you have anything to say?
Governor, I have something to ask.
What is that?
Do I look like a man who could murder a child?
Governor, I object. This man is a convicted murderer, and this is a violation of legal procedure.
I think that our judicial system can probably survive Mr. Frank's question.
You haven't answered it, Governor.
I will answer, Mr. Frank, no.
You don't look like a man who could murder a child, but we both know that life is more complicated than that. Men who look like saints have killed. Mr. Frank, you say you didn't know Mary Phagan.
Not by name, no.
She worked not 10 feet from your office for over a year. You passed by her every day.
Yes?
As manager of the factory, you knew everything going on there, didn't you?
I thought so.
Now, Mr. Frank, let me ask you a question. Is Jim Conley's testimony true?
No. It's a lie. Every word.
Of course he'd say that. The jury didn't believe him. The jury believed Conley.
I know that. I do not need to be reminded who the jury believed. Our problem now is who I'm to believe.
Jim Conley told the police he couldn't write. I was the one who told them that he could. Then he claims that he wrote those notes at my request. He wrote those notes himself to save his skin. May I stand, sir?
If that makes you comfortable.
I speak for my life here today, and a defense of life calls for eloquence. But I'm not a speaker. I'm a factory manager. When the police brought me to view Mary Phagan's body, it was the most horrible sight I've ever seen. Jim Conley testified that I killed her, that I wanted to burn her body in the furnace. Governor, I can only say that such an act, it's not in me. It's not in me. When a man spends months in a jail cell, he has time to scribble all sorts of things. But I won't take your time. I did not kill Mary Phagan. The last I saw of her was when I paid her in my office on that Saturday and told her she looked pretty. Because she did. If the state wills that my life be taken as atonement for that poor little girl who was killed by another, then it remains for me only to die with whatever dignity I can. But, sir, I am innocent of this crime. And the future will prove it. Thank you for hearing me.
Stand back. Governor's coming through. Stand back there.
Why you doing this, Governor? Let him hang, Slayton!
John!
Get out of the way! Get him! Alexis, man! Justice, get him! Get him inside!
What are you doing, John? You're gonna get yourself killed. Just what the hell are you doing?
What you forced me to do.
All right. Maybe I stuck you with this case. But I never dreamed you'd run with it.
No, you thought I'd pass it on down the line, like a coward.
Yeah, I did.
Do you think Frank would have gotten a fair hearing if I did?
He already had a fair hearing.
Did he?
All right. Maybe I finessed a witness or two, but hell, man, I'm a prosecutor. I'm not a dancing master. You just listen to Frank in there. Did he tell you anything new?
At least I will know I heard him.
Fine. Now put it aside. Let it go. When we started out, I believed that you were the man to lead the people of this state into the 20th century. For whatever reason, I still do. The man is guilty. Don't throw your career away just to prove a point. You do that, we all lose, not just you. Don't let that happen.
Governor, we brought your car around to the side, sir.
Is Mrs. Slayton all right?
She's fine, sir. I suggest you hurry, Governor.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Be seeing you, little girl.
Evening, Miss Carter. I'm sorry about all the shenanigans.
It's all right. I ain't visited the Lord's house a while. Guess I'm about due.
I'm sort of in a hurry,
Oh.
so... Regular little sinner, wasn't he?
Can you use him? To keep him locked up away from me?
I'm gonna try. And I want to thank you.
Oh, I didn't do this for you. I didn't do it for that. I don't like him. I don't like this place. Further I get away from both, the happier I'll be.
You're going away?
Somewhere. What's it like where you come from?
New York City. Well, it's different anyway.
I wouldn't mind different. Maybe I'll pass you on the street.
Maybe.
Hello, boys. You hear the calling of the Lord?
Might ask the same of you.
Sort of embarrassed when I was just passing through and I felt nature's call. No sooner did I answer it, I lost my way.
You mind emptying your pockets?
What for? Well, okay, sure thing. There we go. Of course, if you told me what you're looking for, maybe I could help you out here.
Maybe he's telling the truth.
I doubt it.
Boys, I'm heading north. I'm going home. My compliments to both of you. You're true professionals.
As long as we're here, why don't we give you a little escort out of town?
I'd be honored.
Compliments to the world's greatest detective.
So, Conley wrote a bunch of love letters to this woman. Well, love letters of a sort.
This is a copy of the note I found next to Mary Phagan's body. The one Conley insisted Leo Frank dictated to him to pin the thing on the night watch.
He said he would love me and laid down play like night witch did it, but that slim black negro did by himself. I write while he played with me. He meant night watchman. Night witch, he wrote by mistake. Witch.
That's what we all assumed. This is one of Conley's last letters to the woman. Listen. If you love me, I will be the happiest easy rider you ever had. If you say you don't love me, I will as soon be rode by the night witch and die right now.
That doesn't make sense.
Not to you or me. Burns left these letters for me at a church. I asked the reverend at that church about the night witch. He told me it's an old colored legend. When children cry in their sleep, that's their call that the night witch is riding them. You're supposed to go wake them up, otherwise in the morning you'll find them dead with a rope around their neck.
Conley made up the note himself.
He had to. If you and I never heard of that legend, both of us born here, both raised around Negroes, I just don't see how a white man from Brooklyn could come up with something like this. It came from Conley. He lied about this, he lied about all of it. He killed her.
Maybe. But it is still possible that Frank heard about that night witch somewhere.
I don't believe that, neither do you.
It's just not enough. I need some kind of proof I can hold up.
To whom, Governor?
To me. If I'm going to do this, I need to look back and remember. If I'm going to do this, I need to know why.
Who's there?
Are you Newt Lee?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am.
I didn't mean to startle you.
Well, I wasn't expecting no governor.
I'd like to look around.
What do you want to see?
I'm not sure. You found the body in the basement.
Yes, sir.
Would you show me, please?
Sorry. Forgot to warn you.
Does it always stop like that?
Sure do. They let the ground be the brake.
Governor?
The umbrella.
The little girl's umbrella.
Sir?
I have got to break Conley. Everything depends on that.
Governor, with all the respect in the world, you've gone off the deep end up with this.
Not really.
You're enjoying all this, aren't you?
Is this the property division of the police department?
Who might you be?
Governor Slayton. I'd like to look at the evidence from the Leo Frank trial.
Good Lord, the governor. Why, sure. Got in what front?
We've got it cornered now, Governor.
What are we looking for? Hope you don't open it in here, sir. It's bad luck.
You said the governor wanted to see me.
That's right.
Now, Jim, this is where you sat when you did your watching for Mr. Frank.
Yes, sir, Governor.
See?
Right here.
That's where you were when he came down and told you what he just done to that little girl.
That's right, boss.
Then what happened?
You mean right next thing?
Something about a hat and an umbrella.
It's been a while, boss. I don't recollect too much of it, no, sir.
Somehow I didn't expect you to, but fortunately, Solicitor Dorsey took your statement down in writing at the time.
Mr. Frank, he told me to hide her body, to hide her hat and her umbrella, and then meet him back upstairs.
Show us where you hid him.
I just dropped him down a shaft.
Just show us. Perhaps this will help. Thank you. Ashby?
Yes, sir.
Ashby, you were here that night. Is that the way the umbrella was found?
Yeah, that's about right.
Hey, Jim, let's go to the second floor. We'll be back, gentlemen. So, you hid Mary Phagan's things and then came up here, like Mr. Frank told you.
That's right.
Girl was already dead when you got here.
Yeah.
So you and Mr. Frank carried her to the elevator and then down to the basement. That is what you told me, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Good, let's take a ride. Jeffries, take this thing back up, would you?
All right, that'll do it.
You remembering any better, Jim?
He told you what he knows. What does all this rigmarole mean?
Tell him, Jim. If you and Leo Frank brought that body down in the elevator like you said, this umbrella would have been smashed just like it is, but it wasn't, because it never happened. Mary Phagan wasn't murdered on the second floor. Maybe the first, maybe down here in the basement, and by somebody who was waiting to rob her when she came down with her pay. You made up quite a story, Jim. Would you care to tell us how it really was?
How you expect me to remember all that old stuff, boss? I've been sitting in jail for a while. I done forgot all that old stuff I told the newspapers. I ain't studied on no umbrella.
What about the other day? Do you remember what you told me then?
About what?
About what you do when you lie. You shaved him, you washed him, you dressed him up, you brought him into court, and you let him lie through his teeth to convict an innocent man. You're a witness, Mr. Dorsey.
Start this thing up, they're liable to hear us. I'll tell you what, why don't we push it down a block or two, and then it ought to be all right.
Please, tell me where you're taking me.
Place called Milledgeville, prison farm. You ought to be safe there.
Safe?
Governor's commuting your sentence. God help us all.
What do you see, a hero? I see a man who needs a good night's sleep.
And after that?
It's a toss-up whether they try to lynch Leo Frank or me first.
I guess I'd rather be the widow of a brave man than the wife of a coward.
Get me General Nash.
General, we're gonna need the guard, sir. Everybody you've got.
What'd you bring your women and children for? Don't you know they can get shot too? Now go on home.
John.
Now get back or we're gonna start cracking heads. Like King of the Jews. Hang it.
That which some of us have feared all along has happened. Our ideals and our values have been violated. We've been shamed before all men. And the worst of it is not that Leo Frank has escaped, for he has not escaped. Nor can he ever escape the punishment that his vile act has earned. No, my friends, the worst of it is that this shame has been visited on us by one of our own. Like a thief in the night, he took the honor of Georgia. And he sold it. He shall not be forgiven.
John, it's time.
have the honor to pass the seal of this state to my successor, I feel I must make a statement regarding recent events that have so divided us. Honest people may disagree with my decision, but they must realize that all of us must be measured by our consciences. 2,000 years ago, another governor washed his hands of a case and handed a Jew to a mob. 2,000 years later, that governor's name is a curse. It's been my lifelong dream to serve the people of Georgia in the United States Senate. That is a dream I will not see unfold. I can do many things in my life. I can plow. I can hoe. And I can live in obscurity. But I cannot abide the companionship of an accusing conscience. Gentlemen, I did not dishonor this seal. Politic thing to do, son.
I don't care, sir.
Thank you. Message from a former friend, the good mayor of Atlanta.
What does he want?
He hopes we won't consider returning to Atlanta.
But what's to become of us? Are we supposed to live in hotels? I like hotels.
Boss, you fixing to get it mighty bad with the guards. Why? You chopping the cotton, you supposed to be chopping the weeds. Now you watch me, and don't you chop nothing you don't see me chop.
for getting so proud.
Oh, it's being out in the sun again. I think the exercise has been good for me.
I can't wait to get you home. I miss having you to cook for.
Well, Ross thinks it's way too early to try for a pardon. He says I wouldn't be safe.
It's so unfair.
I know. It isn't fair. It's not for nothing. I'm learning a lot from all this.
Like what?
Like how to chop cotton.
Time's up, folks.
Bye. Seems like we spend the best part of our time just saying goodbye. I love you.
Now, nobody drive too fast. We don't want to get stopped. Frank, you're coming with us.
Can I get my shoes?
You won't need them where you're going.
Let the man have his shoes. We aim to do no more than carry out the sentence the law handed down. The jury found you guilty and a judge sentenced you to hang. That's good enough for us.
Who's going to provide for my wife?
He's in the grove up by Fry's Skin. I swear they got him. Get up there. He's in the grove up by Fry's Skin. They got him. He's up by Fry's Skin.
Frank, we are going to do what the law said to. Hang you by the neck until you are dead. I want to know one thing. Are you guilty or innocent of the murder of Mary Phagan?
Innocent.
You want to say anything else?
Would you take this to her?
Drive. Let's get him down.
Leo Frank's body was returned by his wife to Brooklyn, New York, where he was buried. Lucille Frank returned to Atlanta, where she lived until her death in 1957. John M. Slayton received word of Leo Frank's lynching in a hotel in California. He practiced law until his death in 1955. He was never again elected to public office. Jim Conley was released from prison less than a year after the lynching. He died in 1962. William J. Burns became head of the U.S. Justice Department's Bureau of Investigations, later to be known as the FBI. Thomas Watson was elected United States Senator from the state of Georgia. Hugh Dorsey was elected governor of Georgia. None of those involved in the lynching of Leo Frank were ever charged or brought to trial. In 1982, Alonzo Mann, now 83 years old, returned to his birthplace, Atlanta, Georgia. Nearly 70 years after the death of Leo Frank, Alonzo Mann swore he had seen Jim Conley alone disposing of Mary Phagan's body that Confederate Memorial Day. He said Conley had threatened to kill him if he ever told what he saw. Mann's testimony was validated by a lie detector test. In 1986, the state of Georgia granted to Leo Frank a posthumous pardon.